Hello, everybody. Episode of Builders Demo by Enso. For those who are new, we have a session of Builders Demo every week in which we invite our projects that have been building on Enso to come and give us a demonstration and an introduction of their product so that you will be able to understand more if you are an end user, how to interact with a product, and you can take it as an example of how you want to build your product, or if you have some features that are similar to it, you can take some inspiration from it. So, as usual, I have with me here Nanat, who's the DevRel, who's always with me on every episode. And today we have Tigran, who is co-founder of Swaps.io. So this is the structure of the conduct our builders demo. First, start with an introduction from Nanat, and then after that, we will go on to talk about specifically about Swaps.io, the project. And then we will also move on to how the project is using Enso. And Nanette will chip in on potential ways that other people can experiment with, for you to get familiar with our infrastructure and for you to see exactly how it's being implemented in the front end. And to close, we'll take questions from the audiences. So if you're watching, send your comment section or you can DM us. We have a TG group. So whatever questions that you have, so just feel free to ping us. Any of our members will be collecting your questions and address them towards the end of the session. If you can see the scrolling marquee at the bottom of the screen, this is our social handles, EnsoBuild and Swaps.io. Be sure to follow and first and be always updated on our latest news. So let us begin to kick it off. Or maybe Nana can start first with an introduction.
Sure. Should I start?
Oh, Nana has left. I think
Sorry, my connection actually dropped for a second there. So I missed the last, let's say, 30 seconds or so. But yeah, since I just jumped in, please carry on with.
So now we are in the introduction session. So you will do an introduction about
Sure.
yourself and Enzo, and then Tigran will go.
Sure. So good time of me coming back. So my name is Nenad. I'm doing DevRel at Enso, and that means building examples, building code samples, and trying to help out devs integrate with Enso and finding the best way to use it. So given I'm doing all of that, a couple words about what Enso is. So Enso is blockchain shortcuts. And that means it's a faster path to managing assets, swapping tokens, providing liquidity, depositing into vaults. And the whole idea is to make that process as simple as possible. So like if I want to have some assets end up in a vault, I would like to skip all the steps in between, like doing the swap and maybe doing the bridging if I'm doing it cross-chain. And I just want to have those funds end up in a vault. So that's what Enso does. We have APIs in the TypeScript SDK that allows devs to achieve what the original idea without having to do all those manual steps. And for end users, that means they don't have to do all those manual steps involving swapping and finding best options and then bridging all of that. So it is essentially a shortcut for the DeFi users to make it easier for them to do stuff with their assets. And of course, since we are a developer first company, there's a lot of stuff that's also possible for devs for using in backend, because with Enso you can really define powerful, let's say, blueprints for complex asset management across different protocols and getting them through a particular funnel using the Enso's bundle API. So that's a gist of what Enso does and how people can use it.
Yep, let's go on to Tigran. Tigran, how swaps.io?
We launched it in December 24, so it's about like I think 8 months.
Okay, great. So tell us about your journey. Tell us about yourself first. What inspired you to create swaps.io? Journey, what happened? How did you start to create swaps.io? From day one until now, how did you chance upon Enso? And yeah, if you could want to add any other details.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Tagan. I'm co-founder of Swaps.io. Our journey starts, I think, in a crypto building. It was 2021. It was a non-custodial wallet, and during our building, so we trying to find a solution which we can integrate in a non-custodial wallet for cross-chain swapping. There wasn't no much at the time in this space, and after some time we decided so there's this gap in a cross-chain field, and we wanna try to build in this direction. So we start from the Kinetex. Previously, our company was called Kinetex, and it was an aggregator between dexes and bridges. So when we launch it and we receive a first feedback from the users, the transaction can be stuck in an intermediate network because during the period when the validators approve the transaction, it can be few minutes, between like few minutes up to 15 minutes, and some settings like gas slippage, gas and slippage tolerance can be changed. So transactions stack, and users always need to spend much more time, and they have a much more worse rates because everything is changing the time. So we realize that this is problem not from our part of architecture. This is a problem of the market, because market is not designed in a way of omni-chain. Like all these chains, they're building in a different stack and in a different way how they want to see and attract users. So we start thinking about something new in a design, and we present our first model was I think it was 23 Paris ATH Global. It was an intent-based model with a like clients. We become finalists, and Gnosis then invest in us. So we start working in this direction, and in December we launched Swap.io. So basically, it's intent-based protocol which help users to skip all the intermediate steps between uh, like swapping, no matter it's on chain or cross chain, because in the on chain is much more easy. There is atomic swaps, and you can delegate it to any agent. Usually, it's called solvers, resolvers, market makers, or whatever. You can say, okay, take my asset and route to another asset, and if something goes wrong, slippage not pass, just return it in atomic swap. But in a cross chain, is much more complicated because there is a lot of steps, and especially if you want to talk with something like future of intents, when no matter what's happened, like we just receive intent from the user express and say, okay, I have some order. So I have my asset and I want to buy NFT, or I want to put it in pools, or I want to get yield, or maybe some like composable, like I want to put in one pool, get my LST token, and reuse it again, so that I can do looping, or I can get extra yield from this. So in this case, the cross-chain field is much more complicated because we need to wait every intermediate step, and we need to get approval from this. And the logic from the bridges previously was not adapted for this, because there is everything like isolate system independent from every chain. So that's what we are building right now. And that's why we also done integration with Enso, because we know that you guys spend a lot of time for, especially on chain routing. You have a lot of different direction and a lot of partners who already integrate in the Enso system. So we try to make it easiest as possible from the complicated things from the user, like abstract them. Now it's a good narrative in an abstraction way, and resource log. Also, this is like new, some kind of new narrative, which is a lot of people and companies start using. So basically, in this case, users, they just log their funds and they express intent, and they say, okay, I don't care how everything happened under the hood, just give me exact amount in exact pool or in exact like protocol or project where I want to send my assets or what I want to do with my assets. So this is how everything is begin.
Share with us, how did you discover Enso? Or is it when you started building, you already know there's Enso? Or did you try to build it yourself and then discover Enso?
To be honest, I personally know Connor from the conference. I think we've been on a panel or maybe in some chat. To be honest, I cannot remember where I first time meet Connor, but I heard a lot of about Enso from the community as well, and especially how Connor is inspired of all these intense things. Uh, so it was not so hard to find the answer.
Great, that's good to hear. I mean, we are happy to know that people know that we are known in the market for providing all these kind of shortcuts. So when you first started using Enso, I guess you went to look through the docs. So did you discover that it really suited for you to use immediately? What was first your experience of how you aligned what Enso provided to what you need? How
um, to be honest, firstly, we start to building our own system, and because we need to go deeply in details how everything will work, so we start to integration with a safe smart wallet. Um, from the beginning of 25, and when we finalize it, so we have a ability that users can use some kind of agent to whom they can like delegate task in a copilot functionality. So for example, you have some whitelisted pools and you can say, okay, I know that APY is migrated between different pools. I don't want to manually monitor 24 hours like the APY, and I also need to calculate every time when the APY migrate, but there's some expenses like gas cost, which can be slippage on the decks and whatever. So I want to organize something like Copilot for myself, and I want to do whitelist with different pools. For example, it can be like RV, Morpho, it can be lending, where I don't want to create a risk strategy. I just want to do deposit, like I'm supplying, and I have some APY, but this APY migrates, and I need to include all the expense. So we start from this, and this is really like one of our goal, so that in the future users can like have their own copilot functionality in every wallet, because I think it's really useful for most of the users that they can generate yield every time when they have something on the wallet, because right now according to our analytics most of the wallets it's around like 89 or something like this, around like 90 percentage wallets they don't use the asset, so they just leave it on the wallet and nothing happened, but they can receive income, and then it depends every time on the strategy. So it can be from 2 to like 10% on stable coins, which they can receive without a small risk because they're just supplying. So if they don't do some kind of high risk strategy as a looping or providing a different LST which they convert to LRT enough to put in like taxes with, I mean, the composable tokens. In this way, there is a risk level very low. And one of the like biggest, I think, problem right now that the wallets, they're not so fast in this integration, especially in the new apes of chain abstraction. So most of the users, they still need to do it manually. They need to create like EOR wallet, understand what's the difference between EOR, create the smart wallet. After they need to run the like agent in a TE, something like set some settings for them, choose whitelisted pool, and do a lot of manual stuff. And sometimes, like user ask why I should do everything this on your infrastructure if I can like run it locally, because there's still a lot of steps which we can which we can need to solve. So we start from this, and we start working with a different migration API from different pools. And when we need to expand like our database, so we start to think, okay, what we can do. So we can spend a lot of time to onboard every product, every pool, and do it everything manually. Or we can find, for example, like how to integrate API from the Enso, because they have a lot of like huge database from this, and they have a lot of roles, and we can create like some page finder which will find most relevant routing for our scenarios, depends on the like user request. So that's how this happened.
Yeah, so from my experience, when I talk to developers as well, I find that everybody has their own use case, everybody has their own dreams, their own ideals. And so for Nana, it's very difficult to write the docs because he can't possibly imagine all the different use cases and put it all in the docs. Good job, I must commend him. He did the docs in such a way that it's easy for people to find what they need, even though the use case may be different. It can be like a gazillion different use cases, but how we structure the docs is such that it is structured in different actions. So we have an API, we have SDK, and we have a widget. So it even tailors to different levels of integration. You want a deep integration, or you just want to slap a widget to like a quick to go. So maybe Nana, you can also elaborate on how you structure the docs, and from what Tigran has shared with us, is this what you envision of a developer? They will be able to find things like APY, protocols that we support.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we talk about the docs, they are. Let me just quickly share my screen so we see some stuff in here too. You can see the docs here. So I mean, docs are pretty static, and yes, you can find a lot of information here in the build section, like why you would use the route API over here, which is almost always enough for builders to move assets. There's the bundling, which is slightly more complex, where you actually define individual steps that people take. And of course, when we talk about different strategies, now here's well, another library of different operations that you can do with Enso. But what people ask a lot, and they actually like to ask this in the chats, is what networks are supported. So we have that list that is over here. But what I want to say that is most important for devs is that pretty much all the stuff, apart from examples that you see here, is actually available via API. So if you're wondering what are the protocols that are supported, or the projects, so without specific versions, you can actually get the live data about those from the docs. So the idea behind the docs is that you can find live information coming from our database when you need it without reading the static, let's say, documentation. And for some reason, this is, yeah, my my window is stuck here. Anywho, what I feel that's happening recently is that when people try to solve a problem using Enso, they assume immediately, oh, this is complex. I should use the most complex API, and that's the bundle API. And then, okay, the bundle API, it lets you use like the verbs of DeFi, like route, setting the slippage, swapping, and so on. And it gives you a lot of expressive power in defining that blueprint. But usually the route API is more than enough for majority of actions, even for moving assets cross chain. That's all contained in the route API. So I still think we have some work to do there, because people usually go for the complex stuff when they want to solve a problem, but the simple route API pretty much does the job.
Tigran, do you agree with him? Like, so for what you're using for swaps.io, is the route endpoint the one that you're using?
Yeah, it is routing because we have like at least few options. The first option, we need to like pay the salary for a lot of builders who will manually join every single protocol, and like not all of them have the similar logic, especially if we're trying to find out what is the real APYs they provide. Most of them, they not usually provide it true how it is. So they put everything what is possible there: incentivization, rewards, future reward, previous reward, APY, APR, something else, and sometimes you don't understand how they count it, what they trying to say, and you need to spend a lot of time to analyze every single protocol. So it's okay if you use like two or three of them, but if you're trying to create something like a market, especially what we trying to build up, in this case, it's take a lot of time, and sometimes it's better to optimize using the integration, especially if there is no much, if there is not a lot of fee. So in this case, it looks more sweetie.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so how about after all this talking is all very theoretical. How about let's dive deep into the practical part? Maybe you could walk us through a live demo of your protocol, how the front end looks like, click around and show our users what is it like to deposit, and then Leonard can chip in here and there on how the Enso route is being used.
Yeah, sure. Just a moment, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, super. So we have this like tab for especially like retail users, and not only retail, for like for any user who want to work with let's say different projects in a way of intents. So imagine it's something similar as a DeFi Llama, but on a DeFi Llama you can see just some kind of information about the projects. You cannot interact with them in an on-chain or cross-chain way. So that's what we are building right now. We have a lot of different projects which we accumulate from different chains, and we have some sorting here with like it's going to be like TVL or points or APY or whatever, and this is like the way how we can interact with the protocols. I mean, from the user side, when we abstract the user from everything was handled under the hood. For example, let's say we can choose AVI, USDC, which like protocol have a lot of trust from the community. We can choose any asset from any chain. So it can be, for example, like let's say BNB. We can put here just amount, and we have also two like options. The options float. It means that there is some slippage tolerance, or you can use a fixed mode. Fixed mode means that solvers will provide a fixed rate and take care about all the, everything what can be happen during the flight. So if the price change or whatever, solvers will take care about this. So they already include all the risk inside the rate. It's more comfortable for integration, especially if we talk about like some SDK or wallets who want to provide fixed rate, and they might be use some kind of combination of composable assets, or they want to they have some subscription which need exact amount. So that's all. And after you just sign the transaction, and the orders will be executed just in a few seconds. It usually it depends from the chain, like depends of what chain you choose. But usually it takes just a few seconds. So that's all. We're trying to make it simple as possible for users. So right now the user have position in the AVI, and they receive some yield from USDC on the mainnet. So with a swap from BNB chain and put directly to the AVI. We also have tab which we call combined. It's under developing right now. It's not fully done, but there is already some roles. So here's a little bit tricky thing. It's more for professional users who can take some risk. So imagine that we done some deposit. For example, like we deposit in Lista, we receive back Slice BNB token, and some of the users have a question, okay, what I can do next, how I can reuse my token. So it can be anyone. It can be like for example Lido, or it can be Avi or whatever. And some of them they want to reuse the token, so they want to receive a little bit more APY, but in a same position as a ledging, so where they can instantly deposit like supply, and they can instantly withdraw. So this algorithms, like this mechanism, searching for different algorithms and trying to find how you can reuse your tokens. We're planning to update it very soon with the more roles, because right now we're building the unifying method how we can count APY between different protocols, because there's some tricky things a lot of in this space. So when you have done your order, you can see like how many intents you have already opened in a position. So you can check here like how many projects you participate. You can see here which projects provide you just points, which provide you APY, and you can see how much you're earning like every block, how much deposit you provide. So that's what already done. And in the future, action what we're planning to do is more focused on the smart wallet. Smart wallet is allows you to work fully without any, let's say, memory about the gas. So you can totally forget about the gas, because in this case you delegate task to the agent, but agent will take care about everything, includes the gas. So you can keep just like stable coins on your wallet or any other tokens, and you don't need to store any more native. And one more important thing is that not all the protocols can support possibility to deposit and work with them. if it's let's say, for example, like eigenlayer. So there is like no tokenized position. So when you deposit there, you are not receiving any token back. So you have just some event, like let's say, which you can by which you can withdraw it. So you can reuse it. In this case, smart wallet is very important because otherwise you cannot work with it. And in the future, it will be also worked with like some kind of combination when you can do a looping. For example, you borrow some asset and you want to supply it again so that you can uh, get extra APY, so you can open the short, like leverage position or long position, or you can do some hedging or whatever. So that's what already live, and we're still working on it.
And are you also using Enso for all these complex strategies like looping, etc.? I believe that's
Yeah,
possible.
sure.
Do you want to go through, because it is quite a common request that people want looping and advanced strategies, or maybe Leonard can chip in as well. How would this be possible using Enso? I'm sure route is not the answer, right? Because you can route is just A to B. You can do something more complex. You probably need a bundle or something.
Right now we use Enso under the hood, so for users there will be no difference. Is it like but by whom done this code? So Enso help us to build up the routing for this mechanism. For example, users they can find the road which will be done through the Enso when they uh, just a moment. Let me check. For example, I'm sure that aerodrome we're using through the Enso. Um, Yeah, I think we put it under the hood, so everything what's happened for the users, we, we're not trying to like keep it complex and put a lot of things for the user, like how we're routing. So for users, it's just one signature. That's all.
Right, that's correct. What would you say is the most is the favorite that your users like to deposit in?
Most of the assets is Ethereum and stablecoins.
So is there a particular favorite market that your users like? How do you because there's so many protocols for deposit, how do you plan what to add next? How do you plan your roadmap?
How we're playing the roadmap.
Yeah. So how would you plan that you want to display, let's say, display Aerodrome instead of another protocol? Because Enzo has like 100 different plus protocols, so many options, right? And you can't possibly display everything.
Yeah, I know you have 1,000 of rows and pools different, and right now we working step by step. So we integrating like every protocol who provides some specific assets, and I will focus on Ethereum and stablecoins right now. So we're planning to integrate the most interesting pools for native coins and stable coins, and after we will go to some specific like exotic tokens.
Right. I like the way you display your front end so that users really can see everything at one go. I love it that when people click in, they can see the balances on all chains. That is really something that you have that's better than other protocols, because sometimes I go to different protocols and then I connect to one chain, right? So I can only see my balance on one chain, but you have balances on all chain, and that's super nice. And also that users can see their history, their points and all that, which is very useful for, especially for people who join campaigns. Okay, I think thank you very much for the demo. I think that's great. Maybe we can move on to audience questions. Let's check from our side if we have any audience questions. Yeah, okay, for now. Okay. Okay, yeah, I see one question. When integrating Enso shortcuts, how does swaps ensure interoperability with other DeFi protocols beyond the native integrations within the shortcut itself? Who wants to take this?
Yep. It sounds like a question for that you could actually start to.
Sure. As I understand, the question is about the proofing mechanism in interoperability. Is that right?
How does swaps ensure interoperability within native integrations? I guess it means like, um, yeah, I guess it means like how do you ensure that if I deposit in one protocol, let's say on one chain, and then I can use the receipt token on another chain?
Uh, Everything works as a escrow contract, so the asset from the users, uh, they're operating by the solver. So in our protocol, there is a little bit different logic. Uh, Solvers they in advance provide the collateral, so that in a current collateral contract, and after they can take user assets and go to whatever in on chain, or if it's chain in a cross chain. In this scenario, they provide the assets from their own liquidity, and after they go to like use different methods how they can go. So basically, it's like auction where different solvers can provide different strategies, and they trying to compete who provides the best one. Actually, this is one of the biggest challenge for us right now, liquidity provision. So that's why we're building liquidity pools for solvers. This is our main focus right now in the building space, so that any solvers they can operate as an algorithmic solvers. So they don't need to fight with the liquidity provision and different rebalancing mechanism, so they can compete, especially like in routing and different algorithms. When we will launch these pools, I hope it will happen very soon. In this scenario, the cross-chain routing will be similar as on-chain routing, because you can use user assets as a collateral in network A, and on network B, you just borrow some funds and like launch the road. If road pass, everything has happened. If not, in this case, on the second network, road is cancelled, and on the first network, the user assets just unlocked. So it looks similar as an atomic swap, but for cross chain.
Interesting. Okay, next question. Could swaps become the go-to layer for automated on-chain strategies? I think this is really interesting because sometimes I wonder, when you join all those campaigns, like campaigns for new chains or campaigns for new protocols, they tend to have a page where there are different user tasks, and then you have to deposit in Panda, deposit in Morpho, deposit in Euler, whatever, right? Like 10 separate tasks, and then you earn points. So I guess could swaps become the go-to layer, meaning that I just go to swaps and then I click one button and then I join all everything.
If you mean combine or composable strategies, yes. Right now, there is just some templates which we approved on our side, and we decide which of them is low risk for users, or maybe it's like medium risk, and we're trying to inform users about this every time before they do some deposits. But in the future, what we see and we think will be really potential, like huge potential for the market, is Copilot and like all the autonomous agent, where you can ask them to work with the whitelisted different pools and create for you some kind of strategy. Depends on the migration of APY.
I see, I see. Okay, very interesting. Okay, maybe one last question. What are some use cases that only become possible now that swaps and ENSO are combined?
Can you please repeat the question?
Um, what are some use cases that only become possible now that swaps and ENSO are combined that wasn't possible previously?
Um, I think right
I guess everything is possible, right? Everything is possible. The only question is how long you take to develop it. What's the level of complexity? But I guess it's more, let's rephrase. What has become much easier for you that you cut a lot of dev time and a lot of dev effort?
Yeah, if we talk about the abstraction way, so our intents is usually something about automation and make it more friendly as a like UX or UI for the users. But when we talk about some kind of agent who can automate for you in a way of copilot, and that's what is our goal. It will be not possible for users who cannot build the code. So for users who can build the code, everything is possible. So you can build on your like any kind of agent locally, and you don't need to like trusted environment, smart contracts, and all these things. You can use it centralized way. But if we talk about some users or maybe some wallet or projects who want to work with a decentralized way and they want to automate some actions or combination between different smart contracts or roles. In this case, it's not possible for common general users. So that's why we need to create step by step all this architecture when we can first talk about the abstraction, the second we can talk about the routing, after we can talk about like some kind of autonomous agent, and when we combine it, so that's already something new. So you don't need to monitor your balance and position every like day or every like 1 hour. You can delegate it to agent and agent do it for you.
Amazing. This is exactly the position of Enzo that we want to empower our B2B partners to be able to focus on what is your core product, and we will take care of all the manual integrations so that you can save time and you can focus on what's important to your team. So I guess that's the end of the audience questions. Now to end it all, I'd like to ask each of you, Tigran and Nanette, each of you to provide one piece of advice to your community. So for Tigran, give one piece of advice to the community on how to navigate swaps.io. Maybe something that is not so obvious when people just come to your landing page, but you wish people could use more of. And for Nana, one piece of advice on how potential developers should navigate Enso to get the most.
From my side, I can say that now we have a promo and all the transactions for free, so we're not charging any fees. And that's the best time when you can use it because for you it will be much more, I mean, from the user side, much more faster, cheaper, and you also can optimize different roles because the solvers is like a professional team. They have a thousand of pools in a routing mechanism algorithms, so they know how to swap it better, especially if you're using like huge amount of funds and you're trying to find some kind of cool strategies. And we are working on automatization in a way of agent. So we will inform the community as soon as we will have the first MVP ready, so that they can start to do test and see just how the balance growing and not thinking about the formula that they can do it, but they forgot about it.
Awesome. I guess we're all looking forward to it. How about Nana? One piece of advice for the developer community on how to navigate
Can I give
Enso.
two?
Okay.
Okay, sure. So one other thing that's out there for navigating all the protocols and chains that Enso has is this DeFi navigator that's showing you like real-time supported protocols and different versions of those protocols, and you can jump into these tokens And you can even get a little piece of SDK code. Now, I shared this tab only so you can see it, but essentially it is a little bit of TypeScript that you can use and also hop into the happy path, so you actually can do a route with the token you selected. Now, again, you are probably not seeing that one. So that's one piece of advice. And the second piece of advice is you can talk to the docs. There's an AI button at the top, and it knows everything that's in the docs, probably some more stuff than you and I know together at times. So really finding answers is super easy. And I tried it a couple of times when I was solving some routes that we needed for some of our developers, and it actually pointed to really good places in the docs. So if you get lost and if you want quick answers, that's like a very, very fast way to find an answer.
We cannot escape from AI. Everywhere we go, it's always AI. I
Yes.
actually use that pretty often, maybe on a daily basis. I use it as a control F because for our docs, there are many pages, right? So sometimes I want to search a keyword,
Mhm.
and then I just use the region at the top there as a search
Yeah.
bar. And it's really useful. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So to end it all, thank you very much, both of you, for your time. Tigran for sharing about swaps.io, and then for sharing about Enso project, and our documentation, how to navigate, etc. So now, just to close it off, just another reminder to join us in our communities. Join us in our X. Our Twitter handles is displayed. And we also have a TG group, a dedicated TG group for builders. So if you're building something and you have some problems or you have some issues or any other questions, feel free to join our TG group. Nana is there. He's 24/7, or if not, somebody else will be there. Just leave your message and we will attend to it as soon as possible. If you have any ideas on maybe something that you want to build but you can't figure out from the docs or what endpoint to use, also feel free to tell us that. Or if you have any feedback or suggestions, or you just want to talk to somebody and bounce around ideas about Web3, we have a Discord channel in which just come to us and just generate chit chat. So thank you very much all for your time. Join us back again, same time, 2 weeks from now. We will be presenting another new project.
I can answer.
So
I
thank you.
can answer. Sorry for
Yep.
interrupting. I can answer on your question. So
No
when
problem.
the user they deposit, they need to put amount, and they will see the powered by Enso. So all the roles which we start to integrating in the future, there will be much more. So they will have this title like powered by Enso.
Right. Looks good. Looks good. Yeah. So looking forward to people building more, and we'll see you again same time 2 weeks from now.